Continuing now on Newsmax Prime, you know, it's hard to believe that almost 2 years have passed since the VA healthcare scandal sparked national outrage concerning the treatment of veterans needing health care. But a new inspector's general report shows there's still a very long road ahead. In the last 5 months, 7 VA hospitals in Pennsylvania, Ohio, California, Alaska, and New Hampshire have been cited for having, quote, insufficiencies in their suicide prevention programs. The report cited poor employee training, patient monitoring, and safety planning. To talk more about this and other stories of great concern to our veterans, we're pleased to be joined by the Senior Advisor for Concerned Veterans of America and a former Air Force Captain, Darin Selnick. And likewise Skyping in from out in my old stomping grounds in Arizona, U.S. Air Force veteran and the founder of Mothers Against Illegal Aliens, Michelle Dallacorce. Darin, first to you, 2 years have passed, still problems. What will it take for the VA to become the health care provider that our veterans really deserve?
Well, it's going to take massive reform. I happen to be on the Commission on Care, which is looking at this for Congress, and there was an independent assessment done that came out last August or so, and it basically says, and I quote, nothing more than a complete and complex changes need to happen and a call for system-wide change. The VA is not positioned to succeed. It's in a leadership crisis, and it needs total overhaul, absolute total overhaul. It's a socialized healthcare system, and it needs to be totally revamped.
Michelle, when you hear of this IG's report and the continued lack of care, especially for vulnerable veterans, what's your reaction?
Well, as a veteran, I do go to the VA here in Arizona, in Phoenix, and I can tell you that, you know, there's been some changes made. Not that I'm really thrilled with some of the stuff they're doing. They've got a new program called the Care, Tri-West, which is actually a system where when you go in as a veteran, if you need care and you don't live near that VA center, they'll outsource it to a with the doctors that they've provided me on the outside, but getting those appointments can be stressful for me. It took me almost a year to get a chiropractic exam. Actually, I just started going in January of this year when my appointment was supposed to start last year in February or something like that, and it's been a mix-up with the TRICARE system. So there's really a lot of things they need to do that would benefit the veterans, and I think they're making some progress. Like I said, the doctors they're picking, I have had excellent doctors on the outside that they've picked. It's the internally they're a little mixed up.
Well, internally within the military family, and I use that as a figure of speech, there may be big changes coming as the Pentagon has announced plans to create a pilot program that would pay for troops to have their sperm or eggs frozen, so if their reproductive systems are damaged while on duty, they'll still have the ability to have children. Michelle, do you think this is a good idea?
Absolutely not. I'm absolutely opposed to this idea. Reason why is I don't think that the government or the military should be involved in husband and wife reproductive issues, period. It's not in the Constitution, and they should not be involved in it. There's also plenty of private and public facilities that deal with fertility issues that if a husband and wife choose to go down that road, even if they're in the military, they have that option. The military should not be involved in this.
Darin, what's your take on this? Do you think it's going to help with troop retention, or is it another effort to to engage in social engineering by the Pentagon?
Well, I agree with Michelle. I think it's ridiculous. You know, I'm retired Air Force myself, and the troops just come in. They just want their basic health care needs taken when they're wounded in combat. They want to be taken care of quickly with good health care. Social type needs are just ridiculous, and I absolutely agree with Michelle that the government needs to get out of our business and our private lives, especially with the troops.
Michelle, just one thing in closing, though. I just want to ask you something, Michelle. Let me ask you this: for troops who don't return home, the chance to see propagation after the fact, to have their line continue, is that not a noble endeavor?
I'll be honest with you, as a woman. And some people might think this is really strange for me to say, but if I was married to a GI and he had left to Afghanistan and gotten killed, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't, not, as much as I'd love him, I wouldn't want to start having his babies now, to have my children to be fatherless, and then I wouldn't be in the military with those benefits anymore because he's dead. So how would I mean, there's a whole load of stuff that makes no sense in this. And if anything, I'd probably want to get remarried and have children with another man. And I'm being really honest.
Well, we appreciate the candor and honesty. Apparently, top generals were being honest up on Capitol Hill this week when they testified that women as well as men should have to register for the draft. Michelle, first to you. Is that a good idea?
Well, obviously in Israel, both men and women are joining the military, and they protect Israel pretty darn good, and their borders for that fact. I, as a woman who joined the military, it wasn't a draft. I didn't have a problem joining. And I think, I mean, on one hand, I can't speak out of one side of my mouth and say I joined and then think that it wouldn't be okay maybe for a draft. So maybe it would, I don't know if it wouldn't be a bad idea. It works really well in Israel.
Well, what about it, Darin? The notion that that both men and women register for selective service. 20 seconds to you to answer the question, sir.
Yeah, very simple. It's a must. If you're going to have equal treatment, it's got to be equal responsibility. And I have a son and a daughter, and I would expect both for them to register. It's about pulling your weight as a citizen.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. Michelle and Darin, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your respective service to our country. And you heard what these two veterans had to say on 3 wide-ranging topics. Agree or disagree? Why don't you send me your comments at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Still to come, the Trump brand. Is it in trouble? Branding expert Mark Rudolph will put his brand on that subject.